Welcome viewers. We are here with the fourth online seminar in Devolution series. We have already discussed what is devolution, what is 18th Amendment, about Council of Common Interest. And today we are with a very unique topic, which is about the local government and how devolution works at the grassroots level. It is very important in a sense because every citizen transacts or consumes governance at local level. Of course, policy is articulated at higher level. Not everybody is supposed to consume that, but the local government offers services, vital services, which almost every citizen consumes. So we have a very eminent panel with us. We have Dr. Saeed Rid, who is assistant professor at National Institute of Pakistan Studies at Quaid-i-Azam University. And if I remember correctly, he has authored one very interesting research paper on local government in the federal capital, which was introduced for the first time, and we will definitely talk about that. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome Bushra Khaliq. She is eminent civil society activist, advocate for women's rights, and also passionate about local governance. And she is the executive director of NGO Women in Struggle for Empowerment. As the name indicates, of course, she works hard to increase women's presence on the political landscape. And our host, Dr. Stephen Kodela, who is country director, country representative of Hans Seidel Foundation. Hans Seidel Foundation has very kindly facilitated all these conversations. So why not to begin with Dr. Stephen Kodela to welcome all participants and the worthy speakers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zafar Ullah, for this warm welcome again. Now, I'm very glad and honored to be part of this fourth online seminar on democratic devolution. And as you said, I would also like to welcome our guest speakers today. And I learned that Dr. Saeed Rid works as a professor at HSF's partner institution, which is the National Institute of Pakistan Studies at Quaid-i-Azam University here in Islamabad. And now Ms. Bushra Khaliq is, as you just said, Zafar Ullah, the Executive Director of Women in Struggle for Empowerment. And last but not least, Ms. Kanwal Shauzab, she will join us later. She's a member of the National Assembly. And actually, I learned today that Ms. Kanwal is also an HSF alumna, because in the past, she was receiving a research grant from HSF Pakistan. And that was 2013 during her master's studies at Quaid-i-Azam University. Now, Zafar Ullah, you are our moderator again, and you are, as always, a very eloquent political scholar and civic educator. And let me also use this opportunity to welcome all our audience in Pakistan and beyond who are following us right now online. I think the question, or one of the main questions today should be, I mean, why should we deal with social and political issues at the local level? And I think a very plausible answer to this is that often problems are most effectively solved by those who are right there and who know the local setting. So in Pakistan, local government is, as we all know, the third level of government after the federal level of government, after the federal government and the provincial government. And I believe to empower the people at the grassroots level, like on this third level of government, that means that the local community becomes involved in political processes that actually control their daily lives. And also, I believe that a strong local government serves as a strong nursery for political education, and HSF stands for political education. And this, in turn, strengthens democratic participation and values in any society. So I'm very much looking forward to discussing these and other aspects of local government with our guests today in the next 45 minutes. And yeah, welcome again. Thank you for joining, and let's start.
Thank you, Dr. Stefan, and we will definitely be welcoming Ms. Kanwal Shauzab, who is also Parliamentary Secretary for a very important department, Planning and Development. Of course, a lot could be said, and we would like to listen from our experts. But just for a brief review, the Constitution of Pakistan in Article 148 says, each province shall by law establish a local government system and devolve political, administrative, and physical responsibility and authority to the elected representatives of the local government. But unfortunately, the situation, if we go by provinces, in Balochistan, it is missing since more than 1 year. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well, in Punjab as well, in Sindh, it recently completed its term. In the cantonment areas, although they completed their term, but they were resurrected till the next election. And we have functional local government only in federal capital. I will start with Dr. Saeed Rid. Why, despite a very clear constitutional command, we are still struggling to have a vibrant, delivering local government system in Pakistan?
Well, I mean, sort of disagree with you on this, that there's a clear, command in the Constitution. I mean, Constitution only says that there will be, local government. And I mean, if you look at the constitutional clause, Article 148, that is very brief clause, one of the briefest clause of Constitution. I think we need an elaborate, Constitution should be very elaborate, because of this, the problem is that it is up to the provincial government to conduct elections, announce elections, and this is why we have always this continuity issue. I mean, whenever local government completes its term, we have seen that provincial governments are reluctant. Like last time, the local government elections were held because of the intervention of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Otherwise, we have seen the provincial governments were not willing. Now, I would like to share with you that this similar sort of problem was there in Indian case as well. I mean, in 1974, not to be exact 74, but in 70s, a constitutional clause was there that provincial governments will have this system and there will be reforms and elections will be there on local government, but there was nothing was happening except in West Bengal, which was the only province which had implemented that constitutional provision, which was there in the constitution like we have. But then in 1994, 73rd and 74th Amendment of the Indian Constitution, they elaborated and they really explained that, when a local government completes its term, then in how many days the next government will form in, who will conduct elections, and what will be the processes. So in this case, in our constitution, these all things are missing. And this leaves everything up to the local government. And this is why you have seen, like, the local government in Punjab was removed, and nothing happened afterwards. So I think because of this problem, which is there in the constitution, we have the issue of continuity. We have the issue of local government being removed at will by the provincial governments. And we have also the issue of, the local government laws are not permanent. Like local government laws, especially in Sindh, you have seen that one law was, approved by the People's Party government in 2012. And then in 2013, they had changed it because of the pressure from different sides. So political, maneuvering and all these things comes in. I think this is very important that we should have in the constitution elaborate local government.
Exactly, Dr. Rid, you have mentioned that constitution uses quite minimum words about the local government. Bushra Saiba, what is your take on that? Although in 2017, in the Election Act, we tried to elaborate that after 120 days of the expiry of the previous term, we are supposed to hold elections. But we are looking at a new trend. Every government aspires to come up with their own law. So a law is surviving only for a very short term. Or you find any other problem? What is your take?
Thank you very much, Dr. Zafar. And I agree with the point highlighted by Dr. Rid that Constitution doesn't provide the elaborative coverage or it doesn't put the conditionalities to the provincial governments to further devolve fiscal, political, and administrative authority to the third tier of the government. To my understanding, when we say that local governance is the third tier of the governance, I must say that it must be on the other way around. Local government system must be considered as the first tier of the governance, so that the priority and the surety for having a local governance within all four provinces must be constitutionally, constitutionally mandatory part of our all legislations or the constitutional provisions. On the other side, I would say that when we see the different regimes and the civilian governments and the dictators' government in the history, we see that there is a big issue of the discontinuation of the local government system. Though we have complaints that yes, there is a dictatorship of the half of the age of our country, but unfortunately, whenever the democratic and civil governments were there, they were also behaving like they were hesitant to hold the elections. And even in the tenure of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1971 to 77, there was no local body election taken place. Similarly, in the tenure of Benazir, Nawaz Sharif, and even in the 2008 till 2013, when Yusuf Raza Gilani and People's Party were in the ruling position, they were quite hesitant to hold the elections of the local governor. So my first concern as a concerned citizen and as a representative of civil society is that why our democratic governments are so much reluctant to devolve their powers to the provinces and to the local governors, given the and by following the provision of the Constitution of Pakistan. Even then, we are complaining that it is not so much elaborative and it doesn't put the pressure on the provincial governments. The second thing I want to say that when we see that in addition to the constitutional article 140A, we see that there is another article which is 32 article of the Constitution of Pakistan, which also guarantees the true and real representation to those marginalized sections of society, so that their voice, their representation must be having a formal place to be heard. So I think these two major articles must be considered when we talk about the local governance and we deconstruct the issue, whether it is a political will or whether it is the space available where the political parties maneuver their power or their hesitation comes into the situation that they are never been accountable to for not nurturing nurseries, political nurseries, or why they are hesitant to translate the real spirit and the real meanings of the devolution under Article 140A. So my concern is that it's very a historical and chronicle matter that our democratic setup
Our
is
democratic
also has lacked.
governments have not given due weightage to this system.
Yeah.
Dr. Rid, being devil's advocate, during authoritarian eras, it was easy to come up with one size fit all. Now, if we look at our provinces, Balochistan became province only in 70s, although it was historically existing. So the evolution of administrative structure is not the way we would like to see the other provinces. During one unit era, Sindh suffered, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa suffered. And every province has a unique history, unique sociology. So political forces say that these elections should be on party basis. And can you imagine, for first time we had elections on party basis. Only the last local government elections were party based, and that too was on the instruction of Supreme Court, not a political choice. Now once again we are going away from that logic. So how come you can create a buy-in for a mechanism which is essentially political, but ostensibly it is apolitical?
Okay, thank you. I mean, rightly pointed out by Bushra and you also that, in the past, I mean, the history of Pakistan and dictatorial regimes and connection of, local government with the dictators, like three dictators we had and three systems we had of local government, and how local government was used actually to, now depoliticize Pakistan. And that connection, I mean, with political understanding of political parties, because of that, this is, I think, one factor because of which our political governments have been reluctant with, local government system. I think the other problem is that local government basically, I mean, it was in the past, maybe we can say that argument, but in the current, why provincial local governments are reluctant to, have local elections, etc. I think currently the problem is that provincial governments understand that as soon as they transfer power to local government, then some of their power obviously will go away, because obviously there will be some districts where they have opposition will come into power as well. So obviously they will lose power in those districts. So nobody wants to lose power, and this is, I think, political. Every political party wants to have complete control of a province. So that this is, I think, one reason you have seen PMLN, PTI, People's Party, all of the, I mean, political parties have been reluctant in, introducing local government. As far as, to be honest, PTI's record in these terms is a bit better than others. But even PTI, I mean, we have seen, as you've mentioned, that local governments were not held in Pakhtunkhwa as they should have been. So this is the case, which is where the problem is. Now, I would say that, this can, now the this should be understood by our political parties, that this third tier is very important for them as well, to train their political parties for the, as rightly said by Stephen as well, that this is grassroots democracy, where you develop democratic culture at the grassroots level. And this is the local government is the place where people directly can participate in their governance. Like there can be assemblies in the villages, and there are so many ways in which you can involve people directly. And we have seen in many countries that local government has been very successfully used to give a real sense of democracy to the people of the country. And here in our case, we are really missing that. And I think, look, our political parties need to realize that it is not just because Supreme Court says something, but it is something which is being forced upon them. But they need to understand that for the continuation of democracy, for the strengthening of democracy, this is the tier which they really need, and they need to strengthen it.
Exactly. And if we look at the developed capitals or even the decent democracies, they have a party-based local government system, and then the party benefits upward whatsoever they are performing. And more importantly, it serves as a nursery to train the future leadership. This brings me to another aspect. Bushra, you have been working with women, especially facilitating them, and you referred to Article 32, which is part of the principles of policy, which specially emphasizes to encourage women representation, peasants and farmers representation. We did some innovations, involved youth counselors as well. So what is your experience? Are women really feeling empowered, or they're disillusioned because we don't have provincial finance commission, we don't have the resources, and always local governments are complaining about lack of resources?
Well, Zafar Sab, I just want to add one more point, and that is our collective concern regarding the party basis or non-party basis election at the grassroots level. See, under the law of Punjab Local Government 2000.
Sorry, Bushra, we have lost your voice. Maybe it is the
Maybe
internet.
signal something.
It is internet problem, or maybe meanwhile I can come to Dr. Rid.
No,
Or Bush, or we. She's
I'm back.
connected.
Oh,
Sorry,
uh,
we lost your voice. So
actually, I'm on my mobile, so someone trying to call me, so this is why. So I was just highlighting to the current laws. I was sharing that under the Punjab Local Government Act 2019, the grassroots, the Metropolitan and the Tehsil Council Act would be on the party basis. But unfortunately, where we are emphasizing the people's participation and the political nursery at the grassroots level, that part is missing under the new law in Punjab. That is, Neighborhood Council and Village Panchayat Council Act 2019. They would be non-party basis. The election would be non-party basis. So being a person, being a political activist, I have been raising this concern that why this culture is being introduced for maybe it is the purpose of depoliticization of the community at the grassroots level. But I think the political parties have their own interest where they depoliticize and the already existing political structure at the grassroots level. They cannot be participating in this election under their banners or under their political parties or the slogans. So I'm very much concerned about the how the individuals would bring a political manifestos under this election, which we are expecting that maybe within a couple of months there was the election of neighborhood councils and village panchayat council. So this is I was trying to refer Dr. Rid point that why these political parties doesn't really want to nurture the political process at the grassroots level. And the second question about the
women
discontinuation.
empower.
Yes, I will come to that point. I'm sorry, but another gap
Meanwhile, if you
we
allow me,
must highlight.
Bushra, just 1 minute. I would like to welcome Honorable Kanwal Shauzab Sahiba, Member National Assembly and Parliamentary Secretary for Planning and Development and Institutional Reforms. We introduced you in your absence that you are HSF scholar as well. So very warm welcome to this online seminar. Bushra, please continue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On your particular question regarding the women participation and the youth participation, it was initially started from the Musharraf era, when during the years of 2001 and 2005, the local government elections and the laws introduced 33% of the women political participation in local governance. And this was for the first time when women got the opportunity to introduce themselves as a political persons and the candidates. So we have we had 36 more than 36,000 women elected representative in those years. And unfortunately, we have been witnessing the decline of the number of seats and the decline percentage of the women in 2018 till 2018. So in the last election of 2015 under Pakistan Muslim League Noon rule, the ever first seat for the youth as representative was introduced. And it was a welcoming step, but the culture of patriarchy and the mindset of the people doesn't really transformed, and it is not being translated into the youth as the female candidates into that process. I remember that we have been working a lot on the women and youth political participation under local governance, and we saw that in the past there were 274 seats for the youth in each in union at the union council level, and we saw that only one female youth member was elected, rather
That means you have to
selected.
work.
Selected.
You have to
So
work more
this is
to
a
empower
culture.
women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I take the
Especially
conversation.
just
To,
one point that under the
I
new
will
law
come
in
back.
Punjab, the
Gigi, I will
seat of the
come back
youth
to
has
the.
been, yeah. Okay.
I will come back to the to you in the next round. Kanwal Shauzab Sahaba, it is a bilingual conversation. You can privilege any medium. We would like to know from what is your take about why we have failed to have vibrant, functioning, continuing local governments, whereas they are the most vital component where citizens consume governance. And if local governance delivers, society will be better off, well off, citizens will be contented.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Zafar Saab. And sorry, I joined late because there are two deaths in my family, and I was dealing with. I was arranging some things for my mother to travel back to my hometown. Your question is very pertinent. I would like to take 5 minutes and give you my insight as a member National Assembly and as a citizen who feels that the system which is in right now working, how much it is delivering, and what are the expectations of public from this system. First of all, this parliamentary style of democracy is working in our country, and there are three tier of governance or governments which are right now in place. Number one is federal, number two is provincial, and unluckily, or I think unfortunately, the third tier local government, which we are focusing about, is missing. But the thing is, when we talk to public or the layman, their expectation from a member National Assembly, from a provincial member, is more of local government than our actual role. And the reason why this is happening is that they don't know about the significance of the local government, or rather, we have not given them this opportunity to get the fruits of the local government. Majority, when I receive, my area is South Ahmedpur East, which is a tehsil, the oldest and the biggest tehsil of Bhavalpur, the district Bhavalpur. And most of the time, the requests which I'm getting as a member National Assembly from my area, from that rural area, is that हमारे घर में नाली लगवा दें, transformer लगवा दें, छोटे-छोटे काम, like the sewage system is not working, there is no clean drinking water available for them, or the issues of school the number of girls schools than the boys school. So totally relevant to a local government system, or maybe to the provincial system. Problem is, after 18th Amendment, the devolution has taken place at the level of provinces, but it has not gone down to the grassroots level, which is the Union Council level. And that is the reason that the public, the layman person, or the common people, they have no idea what is the role of a member National Assembly, what is the actual role of a provincial member, and what is the actual role of a local government member. So we need to actually identify, we have to draw lines, and it will take time. I would confess it that it will take time, because nobody is ready to give up their powers. Me as a member National Assembly, I should be focusing on presenting more affluent and effective bills in the Parliament, and my focus should be on the legislation, the effective legislation, instead of going back to my rural area and getting all the nalis pakki and getting all the sewage done. Whereas the provincial government has to do the same thing. They have to do the legislation. They have to focus on the annual development programs, rather than going back to the rural area or their constituencies and do the constituency politics. But, you know, they enjoy more in the constituency politics. So that is the reason which the question you were asking, why the local government is missing. That is the reason that the power of the devolution of power is not taking place. We have done the NFC award, but PFC is missing, and so is the local government system. And the result, the worst example is of Karachi. You have seen the metropolitan, or rather the cosmopolitan, has become a pure mess. Same is with Multan, same is with Lahore. Every metropolitan city is turning into rubbles. But we have made that law that is in place. There were some hiccups, like there were some hiccups and there were some hurdles. But now the system is, the path is clear, and more likely in next 5 to 6 months, we will be going for the local government system. That is a good news which I want to announce here. The thing is, I would not get into the structures, but one thing I would like to relate. You know, Planning Ministry has this SDG federal unit in it, and we are working on SDGs. But the effectiveness of SDG or the localization of SDG is not taking place at the place which we wanted to. And I've come to you in PIPS, you remember, to ask you how to, you know, do some legislation to make it more effective and to create a bridge between these three tiers. But the main problem is, whatever the federal is doing, there is a gap or lacuna between, federal and provinces, and then the provincial and the local government. So the top down and bottom up approach, there is a lot of, missing steps. So the system is not flowing as it has to. So whatever I was working on CRVS, Civil Registration and Vital Statistics, which is luckily implemented on the provincial level, but the connection with the federal is missing. Result is that we don't get the exact numbers, the data. And I would say the significance of a data is that if you are having guests for dinner at your house, and if you don't go and tell your wife that, 15 guests are coming, and she is not cooking food for 15 people, rather she cooks food for 5 people, and, you get 15 guests, then you will tell the rest of the story. I'm not allowed to tell it. But same is happening when we are planning.
You have flagged very important issues, but just to carry the conversation forward.
Just give me 30 seconds to complete my sentence. Sure. From the planning ministry and from the planning perspective, if you don't know the exact data, if you don't know the numbers, how would you expect that good allocation or good system will be working for the people who are getting or who are at the receiving end at the local government level, and or at the grassroots level? So the significance of local government is humongous, and PTI government is focused. We are back in power because of KP 2013 Act, which the local government was in place. But unfortunately, now it is missing in every province, and Prime Minister is focused. He'll get it done as soon as possible, because despite all the resistance of the Member National Assembly, and despite all the resistance of the provincial members. We are getting ready and preparing for the local government.
Best of luck. But Dr. Rid, we have been focusing more on the political aspects and all. But I'm tempted to ask one question to Dr. Stephen as well. Maybe if he wants to join the conversation, I will appreciate. The Article 140A is very important. It talks about political devolution, physical devolution, administrative devolution. In London, nobody can think that person from Edinburgh will come and run the health and education of London, and vice versa. Here we have the elite DMG group, elite police group who run the districts. So
Yes.
unless we have the district cadre of administration, can we think of meaningful devolution? And if Stephen, you would like to add the German experience, I will appreciate. First, Dr. Saeed, and then.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I would like to, take you to the history. I mean, local government system basically draws its, base from what we had panchayat system in the past and Faislo in Sindh, but that system was completely sort of demolished by the British when they introduced that Patwari system, which we continued actually. And if you look at the local government system under British, and then Ayub Khan, and then Zia-ul Haq, and then Musharraf, you will see that that bureaucratic control which was introduced by the British. That during British phase, all the DCs and basically the local government at above UC level was dominated and headed by the bureaucrats. And gradually we see positive change. Some of it went during Ayub Khan, and then Zia-ul Haq, and then Musharraf's system was much improved as compared to the other systems. But sadly, after recent democratic phase, when we have revived that local government system, actually we have not moved forward, but rather we have moved backward in most of the cases. Like we have brought back that Zia-ul Haq system, and especially in Sindh and Punjab, KP had sort of mixture of Musharraf and Zia-ul Haq system.
In fact, my question was, without having local cadre of vital services, can the DMG police deliver in the districts, which is primarily a federal service? We talk a lot about, in my modest understanding, one of the reasons of failure is that we try to inject federal software of service delivery into what should have been essentially local.
You're right. I agree with you, and this is actually connected to this because bureaucracy is controlled by the center and the provinces. There's no, local government level actually is missing sort of. If you look at the structure of our local government system, even I like Ms. Kanwal has mentioned about intergovernmental relations issue as well. And you can see when we talk about intergovernmental issues in Pakistan, we have CCI, but we have CCI is not about and have nothing to do with the local government. We have interprovincial issues there, but so that local government at the local government level bureaucracy and that structure of service delivery which should be controlled by the like this is why I was mentioning Musharraf's case, that in during Musharraf's system, like Nazim was given power to sign the ACR of your district DCO.
Take the conversation to Dr. Stephen, if you would like to add. What is the key of success of German system, local government system?
Well, that's a sweet question, because this question implies that our system is very successful, right? That's a very nice compliment of you. Well, our federal system has several subdivisions, and that's quite that can be complex, but it depends on the state, right? So Germany consists of 16 states, and then within the states there are so-called Landschaftsverbände, which means area associations, and then they have Regierungsbezirke, which is governmental districts. That would be the next, smaller units. And then we also have many administrative districts. That's what we call the Kreise. So I'm from the Landkreis Heilbronn, for instance. And now within these Kreise, we have offices, what we call Ämters, and in the offices we have municipalities, basically the cities, right? We call it Gemeinden. So you can see our local government, our local governance structure is quite diverse, and I mean obviously that I think is the challenge is to then maintain a unity in all this diversity which you have, because these different levels have obviously very different, or they can have different interests. And sometimes the interests between the different levels are even competing with each other. But I think what I would describe as a success story from the German point of view is that even though there are different conflicts of interest between these many levels, overall there is still the sense of unity, and they all have the German interest in mind.
That is a very interesting point, and I would say that's why I call it ladder: local, provincial, and then federal. Bushra, I would like to flag another issue. Of course, as Dr. Rid in the beginning said, that we need to have maybe a full-fledged amendment in the constitution to have some kind of chapter on local government. But money is the mother milk. We have an article about NFC, but we don't have article about PFC. And we know the culture of block allocations, parking money here, depriving the rights to spend. So what will be your take on that? Unless the local governments are empowered financially, their many tasks will be just a utopia.
Yeah, that's true. Zafar said that's true, because if you see that since the last year when PTI came into power, and they, they systematically roll back the whole existing system of the local governance last year. And since that, there is no election. Still, they are planning to hold the election, which is expected in December. And under the other law of Punjab Local Government Act, we are expecting that this election would be held in March next year, 2021. This is very unfortunate that on one hand, the constitution are guaranteeing more devolution and the full autonomy to the local government system, but we see that all private companies which are serving providing municipal services, they are not the under local governance. The second thing is during the last tenure of the local governments, they established new authorities like education authority and the health authority, which were working directly under the provincial government. This is why the local governors have never witnessed or have never been empowered in true sense. So under the new law of neighborhood council and village panchayat, as well as the Punjab Local Government Act, we see that more authority has been given to the bureaucracy. So their rule to monitor the performance of the local government lies with them. And in different structures, the bureaucracy is involved. So we see that there would be another round of hindrance in the way of empowering grassroots local governance system. And similarly, we are demanding that the role of bureaucracy should be minimized. The basic municipal services and their related companies must be controlled and supervised by the people's representative local government. And the third thing is that I do agree that until or unless we don't bring reforms in the civil services structures, we cannot make those authorities and make those departments accountable for a better
Exactly,
governance at this
of
level.
course, and because of the shortage of time, of course, it is such a topic we can continue our conversations. So I go to Kanwal Shauzab Saiba. During our conversation, there were two demands that there should be a full chapter on local government in the constitution, maybe the government at federal level, because constitution is your jurisdiction, can think about incorporating multi-factor formula about PFCs, Provincial Finance Commission, in the Constitution. What is your take? It is important because state has been defined in Article 7, and it has federal, provincial, and local. Local are the legs on which the entire edifice of system is standing. If it is gone, it is crippled. So what is your take?
I agree to you, and I think you can guide us because you know more about constitution than any of us.
No,
I
no.
always say that we have a scholar of constitution who knows all the pros and cons, but there are two, 3 points which I wanted to highlight. You know,
Sure.
whatever structure we make, the main thing is uh, where the power lies actually. If the power is lying with the bureaucracy, the same thing we are facing in the ministry. Just take one example. If a minister in charge does not have the power or does not have the authority, but the secretary of the ministry has it, so this system is not working anymore. And same is happening if this is the replica which reflects on every level. On the grassroots level, yes, you are right. On this local government level, if the DC has all the power, then why to elect people? You know, our member National Assembly, our provincial members, they are always complaining about the DC of that district, because he has the ultimate power. Every scheme, every ADP or every other schemes are going to the DC. So we have to devolve it, and we have to take it from the bureaucracy and give it to the public representatives. Until then, there will be no harmony, and that is the main reason which is creating a lot of friction among the elected members or the elected governments on all the tiers. And there is another issue. You know, Pakistan has a unique formula because we have three different governments sitting on the three different tiers, and then there is a friction. So that is the reason why bureaucracy is getting advantage of all these three tiers. So we have to focus on the constitution, we have to focus on the reforms and making such acts which makes it immaterial or irrelevant. Whoever gets elected has some, you know, outline to perform and have to work according to the to that to that outline or to the constitution, which will be implemented at the grassroots level. So there are some issues, there are hiccups. We will be overcoming, but provided that we start taking steps towards that thing. And you know, Prime Minister Imran Khan has that vision. I would always recognize it and always endorse it. Yesterday, there is some petition given in the Supreme Court about this 140A2, the implementation of PFC. And I think that will bring revolution in the local government system in all the provinces, not just Sindh, I would say all the provinces.
I would say politics must be proactive, and you being member of the National Assembly can take the lead in that. Of course, due to paucity of time, we have to close the conversation. I will just seek one-liner way forward from all the speakers. We start with Bushra, one-liner way forward.
I think we demand the early election in Punjab for the local governance, and there are two different laws, and we are demanding the
Okay, we
connectivity with
understand.
the
We
both
understand.
laws.
We understand that you are from Punjab, you are demanding for Pakistan, but we expand your demand that it should be
Okay,
in all
and
areas where
all Pakistan,
of the
yes,
businesses.
provinces, yeah.
Dr. Saeed Rid, your one-liner.
I would say we need a constitutional amendment, and for that, PTI government has responsibility to create a consensus, for which I think we need a thorough dialogue between different parties and different stakeholders.
Exactly. Kanwal Shauzab Saiba, your one-liner.
I'm giving guarantee and this good news that we are already focusing on PFC and devolving the power to the grassroots level. So from PTI, you will find us proactively working on it.
Exactly. And we say best of luck for all these initiatives. And just to conclude today's conversation, of course, I will go for vote of thanks to Dr. Stephen. But as it has figured out, we, the citizens, consume governance at local level. If we are contented there, there will be a trust matrix for the entire democratic system of Pakistan. The province will benefit, the federation will benefit. As it was said during the conversation, this diversity can paint a very beautiful mosaic of contented citizens of Pakistan. It will happen only when we have the all systems, all tiers of governance working for the best interest of people. With this, I hand over to Stephen to send vote of thanks.
Well, thank you very much for this very interesting discussion. I've learned a lot. Thank you, Zafar Ullah, for this great moderation. My one-liner would be that local government is not something that is nice to have, but it's actually a must-have for every society and every country that is governing well and successful.
Thank you.
So I'm very much looking forward to our next online events.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And with this, I would like to extend my special thanks to all worthy panelists, Kanwal Shauzab Saiba, Dr. Saeed Rid, Bushra Khaliq, and Dr. Stephen, who was our host as well. With this, we will beg leave and we will come with new topic in the next online seminar. Thank you very much.